So this week your class is looking at helping behaviors. One of the questions about helping behaviors is why do people help? And one of the possible reasons for that is simply altruism, which is the idea that I go out and help other people not because I'm expecting anything in return, but just because I want to help other people. And there's some question as to whether or not true altruism actually exists, because altruism really means that I help for no reason whatsoever. And we know that people receive health boosts and also kind of a positive emotion boost when they help. And so if that positive emotion boost is reinforcing, are we actually doing this for no reason whatsoever, or are we doing this because we think, oh, well, if I help that person, then I'll feel good about myself? Or are we helping in order to make sure that we don't feel guilty about not helping, which again would not be altruism, it would be in order to avoid guilt. So one possible reason for helping behavior is altruism, actual altruism. Another, again, would be to avoid feeling guilty. Another would be the social responsibility norm, the idea that, someone has helped me, so I should turn around and help other people. And even the idea of social exchange, which is maximizing benefits and reducing costs for an individual, that could be part of why people help as well. We also we're more likely to help people that we're related to. We're more likely to help people, again, that are like us as opposed to dislike or not like us. And another question relating to helping behavior is, when do we help people? And one thing that we know is that in order for help to occur, we have to notice that help is needed. So if we're driving along, we're not paying attention to other people on the side of the road, then we're not going to help you change your tire. We're not going to call, AAA or the state police to help you with your car that's on fire because we didn't notice that it was on fire. How that's possible, I'm not really sure. So the first step in helping is to notice that help is needed. Once we do that, then we have to interpret the situation. So we have to say, okay, in this situation, what can I personally do? Am I able to help this person? So if I see, I'm driving and I see someone's car on fire, I may think to myself, do I own a fire extinguisher in my car? No, I don't. Not really much I can do. But one thing that we have to keep in mind is that there's always something that we can do, and that's call somebody who can help. So if you're driving along and you see somebody's car on fire, obviously you can take out your cell phone if you have it with you, and you can dial 911. A lot of students tell me, well, I don't do that because I think, well, what if somebody's already done it? And 911 operators will tell you, we appreciate more calls than no calls. And so if you call and everybody else who's on the highway at the same time that you are calls, that's fantastic. Whereas if nobody calls and the person dies in their car, then that's a problem. So we want to make sure that if we see a situation, we evaluate it and think to ourselves, okay, is there something that I can do? Do I know how to change a tire? If I don't, then obviously I'm useless for that part, but I can at least call the state police and they can send somebody out to help this person change their tire. So once we have interpreted what we can personally do, then we need to assume responsibility. And so a lot of times people don't do that part. They kind of brush it off and say, well, somebody else will do it, like we've talked about before. Somebody else already called, so I don't have to do that. Somebody else will stop and help them change their tire. They probably have already called somebody on their cell phone. Well, think about this. What if they still left their cell phone at home? Have you ever done that? You probably have. What would have happened if your car broke down on that day? What would you have done? Most of us would think, oh crap, now I have to walk to, the closest payphone if those still exist, or try to find somebody who will let me use their cell phone. Wait a minute, do I remember any of my friends' actual phone numbers? Yeah, you can see the list of problems could continue. So we want to assume responsibility for whatever we can do. And we want to recognize that in a lot of situations, the more people who see an instance of help being needed, the less likely that person is to actually get help. It's what we call the bystander effect. So if one person sees someone else that needs help, then they feel obligated to help because they recognize that, hey, nobody else is here to see this. Okay? 2 people see it. Those people start kind of looking at each other and go, who's gonna 3 people. Now we've got, 3 people having this conversation of who's going to help. 4 people, you can see where we're going. And by the time, 6 people have decided who's going to help, the person's dead. So what do we have to do? We have to actually assume responsibility and assume leadership in that role. So if there are 6 people who have seen that this person, fell down and hurt themselves, then we have to start assigning responsibility and say, okay, you in the blue shirt, so make it personal. Make sure the person knows that you're talking to them. Call 911. You in this, that ugly hat or whatever. Don't say ugly hat. They won't like that. But you in the red baseball hat, you go call this person. You call the person's, significant other on their cell phone or something like that. So you can see that by assigning tasks, we're more likely to get help. Whereas if, nobody knows who's supposed to do what, then everybody just kind of goes, I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. So how do you personally get help if you need it? You're the person on the side of the road. You've got your hood up thinking, okay, that's the international sign for somebody, please help me. My car has broken down, but nobody's stopping. What can you do? Well, you can make a sign that says, please call the state police. This is the number. This is where we're at, like the address that we're at. And hopefully someone will read the sign and make it short because, if they're driving by, they can't read a lot. But hopefully they'll read the sign and actually do what you ask them to do. Another thing that you can do, and I know this sounds really creepy, is you can actually look into someone's car and look at them and point at them and kind of indicate to them that they should pull over, or indicate to them that they should use their phone to call. And a lot of times people will do it because they just feel so creeped out that this one person singled me out on the side of the road. So both of those would be strategies to get help for if your car was broken down on the side of the road. If you're a person who you fell down, you broke your leg, you can't get up, you see people walking by, or people are stopped and kind of trying to decide what to do, go back to what we talked about before and start assigning roles. So you do this, you do that, you take out your cell phone and call 911, etc. And you will actually get something done in terms of helping behavior. I hope you found some interesting, useful information in this unit. Next week we'll be talking about conflict and peacemaking, and which is some of the stuff is going to be very similar to the helping behaviors literature, because we're wondering, okay, how do we get these people who are in conflict to help each other in order to decrease the conflict and increase peace? So, have a great week. Talk to you later.